So here we are, we're putting this tank together. So what my plan is to put a rubber boot on this thing. So I've stole it off of this Nexus here. Hopefully I've got one that'll fit on the Nexus itself, because for some reason they have a really big inlet, I don't know why. But I should be able to get one of the normal boots to fit it, hopefully. So I'm just going to put the pipe in there like I normally would, but not weld it, and then just clamp this boot to it. And maybe something similar with this, I'm not sure. I may just put the thing straight in there so it just comes to a normal pipe, the little converter, so it's just a pipe that comes out in it. But I'll work that one out in a minute. And then this Nexus is going to be attached to it, so it's going to have quite a good filtration for a little tank. But there we go. So all I've got to do now is work out where I'm going to put it and how I'm going to put it, and yeah, it's going to be an interesting day, but at least it's sunny. So I've got the tank where it's going to go, and I'm just putting it all together. So I've put a slide valve on because I had one laying about, and I've just basically run that into that boot there. It's not welded in. I've pushed it into the spin drifter itself, so it's like pushed almost right up inside it, and then I'm just going to tighten these up, and then that should be fine. Should sit there lovely. And then for the airline, I haven't welded that either, and I've got an old piece of airline there with a valve and the outlet on the end, and then I've got a weird size 1.25 inches, I think it is, or yeah, 1.25 inches rubber straight through that's gone from the outlet on the drifter to this 90-degree bend there like that. So I'm quite pleased with that. And then I forgot, but I've got to put the inlet there. I haven't actually got any solvent welds, so I've just put a piece of tape around it once and hammered it in. And well, not hammered it in, just give it a good tap in. And it seems pretty tight, so I'm hoping it doesn't leak. And if it does leak a little bit, it's not end up weld, is it? But yeah, I think we should be alright with that. Now I've just got to obviously put the cap on, but I'm going to do that last. So I'm going to bring the Nexus up here and get connecting the Nexus up. So we're getting there. I've got the Nexus plumbed in, so the pipe just comes straight up there, and yeah, it's looking pretty good. I'm pleased with it. So what I need to do now is put the cap on this bottom drain, so I'm going to show you how I'm going to do it in this tank. And it's pretty much going to be the same as how you should always put a cap on it. You should always do it last. It should always be absolutely the last thing. And a couple of neat things you might want is obviously the parts for it. 2-inch to 1.5-inch reducer, tape measure and a Sharpie, and a saw to cut it. So let's get on with sorting this out. So let's put this in first. That's what we want to get in first. Make sure it's right into the bottom and solidly in. And then we want to make sure the O-ring's on this as well. That's quite important. Make sure the O-ring's stand there. And put it on. We won't cutting down as much as I thought this one. So what I usually say is you want a gap that's big enough to just sort of trap your fingers there like that. So obviously they've got that flange in there, so I'm trapping in between that, and generally your bigger fish can't get down that, so it should just trap you. So basically you want to trap your hand right there, and that's about it. So what we got as a gap here, we've got 1 inch. So we've got 1 inch gap. It's a bit much for me. So what I think I'll do with this one is cut it down about 1/2 inch, because I want it quite a thin gap in this one. So an 1/2 inch gap is basically what I'm going for. And then what I'm going to do is, rather than welding this in, which you can do, you can weld it in, so it's not a problem at all, I'm going to put the 1.5 inch boot on there like that. If I make it slack, that'll go on there like that, and then it'll also fit in the bottom bit. So basically the 2-inch side fits over the bottom piece, and the 1.5 inch piece fits over that like so. And that way, if you ever do need to do any work with it or whatever later on, you can still get this out. So there we go, I've cut 1/2 inch off that, so let's get that put in. just to try it, and we can have a look, see where we sit. Yeah, look at that, half-inch gap all the way around, so it really easily traps my fingers before it gets to the end. So it's a little bit smaller gap than I normally put on a main pond, but I think we'll be fine with this one. I think it's plus, I mean, the gap up to the flange is a little bit bigger, obviously, so if the flange weren't there, it'd probably be the same as what I put on a main pond, but it is, so there we go. So let's get this put in, pull that out, put that down there like that, get it tightened up. I really don't recommend welding these on, just in case you ever do need to take it off, or ever do need to replace that centre column, either because you want to adjust the bottom drain and cut it shorter or whatever at a later date, or you've done something and messed up the thread in there, which also happens. But so that goes down there like that now, and then just tighten the other one up. Perfect, it'll not go anywhere now, that. So all I need to do now is put the airline on from one to other, and we're good. So here we are with putting some air pipe on. So try and get some flexible air pipe for this bit. This stuff's quite good actually, because it is really flexible. It's really difficult to kink and really folds off. Some of them, the second you start bending them, they just kink straight away. This one's really good, so I'd recommend getting some, mostly because look how tight that is there. That bend there's got to be really quite tight, so something that bends quite well, like this pipe, you'll not have any trouble with, but with some pipes you can kink them up. I'll put that one on there, and then put that somewhere there. That. Perfect. Not the tightest fit in the world, but it ain't going anywhere. That I can't even be bothered to put any hose clips on it, which is a mistake if this is at the bottom of your pond. So if this were at the bottom of your pond, I'd definitely recommend putting hose clips on. So let's have a look. See what we look like. Can't see what I'm doing. So there we go. So that's the air coming out of the side there, straight into that. Lovely. And it is a little bit slack. You know what? I might put some hose clips on it. If I can find some hose clips, I'm definitely going to put them on the little bit on the slack side. But yeah, pretty good. Pretty pleased with the little rubber jointing bottom. One of the advantages of this as well is, you know, if you end up cutting it a bit short and use one of these rubber joints, you could just pull it up a little bit. So yeah, basically. So yeah, that looks pretty tidy. Let's get the cap back on now, but I might just have a look for something for that first. But yeah, I'll just put the cap back on, then we're done. So there we go, I've got it all plumbed up. I'm actually quite pleased with how it's all worked out. It's amazing what bits you've got left laying about, especially me. I've got tons of little pipework bits. I could build that many ponds just with old bits, it's ridiculous. So we've got the bottom drain, comes out of there, straight into the Nexus, and then obviously around your Nexus, whatever, into a 10,000 pump, and then out of there, through this nice bit flexible hose, into a 55 watt UV, and then up into this. So in one of my previous videos, I took all the zipper racks out of my shower filter in the main pond, and I'm going to put it in here because I can really. It's not doing out, it's static basement, so I might as well put it in here and a little one-tier backy shower. But yeah, why not? So these come with this tank. So I've had a lot of people ask me about these tanks. This one was obviously used that I bought it, and the great tanks, they used to be a standard, so all fiberglass companies would make this tank and the one that my fryer in, and then some bigger ones, you know, like, so the 250 gallon, 500 gallon, you know, whatever. So they used to be like standard and every fiberglass company made them, but I just don't know any fiberglass companies anymore. They've pretty much all gone bust, the ones that I know about. So if you do know any fiberglass companies that make tanks and stuff like that, put it in comments, it'd be quite helpful for a lot of people. So I haven't got the air set up on this yet. I need to work out what air pump I'm going to use, both for the Nexus and that. But what I'm going to do is I'm just going to leave it full of water all night to make sure none of these pipes leak or burst or out like that, and leave it pumping round, and we should be fine. So I'm filling it with water from the main pond. That's what this is doing here. My blue line were a couple of meters too short, so I just put this there, and I'm just going to connect it to that, pump it into there. So yeah, I'm pumping it from the main pond just because I can really. I generally don't do that, but this is going to have a few fish in it out of my main pond, so that's why I'm doing it really. I'm trying it. Generally I don't use mixed pond waters and that, but seeing as it's a used filter anyway and the media's all out of that pond, might as well use the water from it. So let's get on with filling it up. So there we go, we're filling up quite quickly as well. I think I've closed the bottom drain. I have. So not much water should come through. Obviously it's a bottom drain leak. So there we go, we're filling up. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to set this pump up to run, because I want to pump it in first before I let water in the tank. So I'll go and do that. So there we go, the Nexus is filling up lovely, and there doesn't appear to be any leaks yet. Well, let's put the pump on. There we go, that's the pump on. See if the spray bar works. That's alright, isn't it? It'd be nice to put all the zipper racks in that, and then it comes out of 2 holes, one at each side. So it's this is interesting. Which one's faster, my petrol water pump or that 10,000 litre pump? I've got a feeling actually it's my petrol water pump. But can't see any water on the floor. Oh, a little bit of water. No. It's probably coming from the UV light somewhere. Yeah, I think the drain valve on the UV light's not tightened up. Ah, that's be one. What's this here? Why is there a sprinkle of water here? Ah, and this pipe's got an hole in it there, look. Ah, that's a bit one. That pipe's got a little hole in it that needs replacing, and the Nexus is not too far, going to come over the top. Actually, I best go and have a look at my main pond, because that's where all this water's coming from. So let's go and have a look at that. So follow the hose pipe. Oh look, a nice little water feature. That's pretty, isn't it? Yeah, it's not actually watering the plants. There we go. So the pond level's dropping a bit. Got a feeling the drum filter's going to start calling me in a minute, asking why there's no water in, but it's filling up as well, so good water change for it. There we go, it's watering the plants now. We're getting there a bit at a time, so it's pumping in really well. Actually, if you look, that bit's flowing towards the tank, so it's actually, this petrol pump, even on idle, pumps a lot more than that does, which is a 10,000 litre Aquamax pump. So it really pumps, that petrol pump. There you go. But this is pumping quite well as well. Look. Yeah. I was debating whether to put a 90-degree bend to point them so that it flows around the tank, but I just thought, sod it. It's not big enough to worry about having a circulation. This should be fine. This is going to be my overflow. So I'm going to put a tank connector on that and probably a 90-degree bend that sets the flow level right. Yep, so all I need to do now is get these air stones and air pump working in that. So I need to decide what air pump I'm going to put on the system. So, right, I'll get back to you when it's full. That's really took the level at pond down. Actually, really not as much as you think. It shows you how much water is actually in this pond. So, you know, we've dropped it, what, 4 inches, 5 inches to fill that entire tank up. So it just sort of shows you how much water is actually in this pond. That it's 7 foot deep, so, you know, it could fill quite a few more of them tanks before it were empty. So there we go. So it's the next morning. I actually had a go on it last night. I'm working on it in dark. I tried to record it, but there's no point in really recording things in dark. So what I've done is I put a really small pump. So this is what I want to talk about as well. Look how well that spin drifter, all the air coming out and it's working really great. That's what I wanted with them rubber boots that I'd put on my quarantine tank a couple of videos back. But look how small the pump is. It's literally one of the smallest pumps you can get, really, a 30. It's like a 20-watt pump. Whereas them rubber boot ones were running on, what were it, a 90? Yeah, 90. So, and they still weren't half as good as that. So yeah, for some reason the bottom drains are great, but them Airstone type of rubber things are terrible. So yeah, it's running great. So what I've done is I put an air pump on the Nexus. So the Nexus is running quite nicely, as you can see. And I put an air pump on that. What I do plan to do is I have got one bigger air pump than both of these. So I'm hoping at some point I can fix it because it needs a new diaphragm. And use that to power the Nexus and just bleed a little bit off to bottom drain, and it should be a little bit better with that, because even that I don't really need that much airflow. So what we got on with the filter, so I did end up putting the joints on the bottom just to turn it that way, mostly because the bedrooms are there, so I didn't want to be hearing water absolutely flowing, because it were just sort of dropping out really quite loud. But if I take this off like so, I can show you that I filled it all with my old Syperax, so it's all pumping through there nicely. Yeah, quite pleased with that. It's not all of it, it's about half of the Syperax that I had in my shower, but yeah, it's all getting showered on quite nicely. I would have quite liked to have filled this tank up with water, but I think I'm just going to leave it as a shower, try it like that, why not. I've noticed that for some reason this one gets less water than that one. I've no idea why that would be, but whatever, it is what it is. It seems to be running right, I'm quite pleased with that. I've got a few Syperax that I've dropped in tank, obviously, and we're good. So a really well set up quarantine tank. But there we go. Now all I need to do is put some fish in it. So it was my intention to use that tank to put some fish in it, and then I could have sort of moved some fish about and we could have had a good look at the fry, etc. But unfortunately it's just too cold at the minute. It looked as though the weather were going to be nice, but it is just freezing out there, and the water in that tank that I put in has dropped down to 4 degrees, so it's just well too cold. It probably wants a heater on it if I'm going to do anything with it, but at the minute I'm just leaving it. So there we go, one of them things. We'll see that in future videos probably, but at the minute it's just going to be left to its own devices. So if you like this video, then please like it. If you want to see more videos like this and fishing related videos, then please feel free to subscribe. If you have any questions or comments, then please put them down below, and I shall see you in the next video. Thank you for watching. Alexa, feed the fish. Ain't got any fish food on me.